This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Checking off the boxes on your to-do list is a great feeling. And when it comes to checking off coverage, a State Farm agent can help you choose an option that's right for you. Whether you prefer talking in person, on the phone, or using the award-winning app, it's nice knowing you have help finding coverage that best fits your needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy, that's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
This Labor Day at Lowe's, shop member-only doorbuster deals for a limited time. Save $50 on an Ego string trimmer, now $169. Plus, get 50% off select Holland pavers. Not a rewards member? Sign up for free today. But hurry, Labor Day doorbuster deals won't last long. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 9/1 while supplies last. Program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
You're listening to 1865, the Nottingham Forest podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the 1865 Nottingham Forest podcast. Today we've got the women's show for you. We are back from a much needed break over the summer, but I will say this, it was a very glorious summer for both of us, basking in the season that we've just had with our unbeaten promotion team plus the cup win. I'm joined by my new co-host for this season, Matt. Matt, firstly, how are you today?
I'm very good, thank you. Very good, very much ready for the season. Been missing it, especially after last season. It just felt like glory after glory. So let's bring it on.
Now, the Reds enter the WSL2 this season. It's going to be it's fair to say, probably a fairly decent size step up. It's not quite like the men's game going League One's Championship, which is a big step up in itself. It's more monumental than that. Some very good teams in WSL2. So that's something that we've got to talk about today. Now, when we did our preview last year, it was fairly simple. Forest were expected to win the league. We predicted they would win the league, and they did win the league. So that was pretty easy for us. But this year, Matt, we've got a bit of a tougher time when we're looking at this season, haven't we, of what we can achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, last season almost felt like a foregone conclusion. Don't want to be smug, don't want to be irreverent in it, but we knew that we were the best team there by a considerable amount. We're obviously turned professional, had a bit more money to spend, had a bit more time to train and everything. And yeah, we did it with, not as much room to spare as I thought we would, but this season, who knows? It is really a step into the unknown in so many ways. Although obviously we've played a lot of these teams before in the past and stuff, so we've got some measure, but the quality of football is going to be much, much different. We've got to get a lot more smart, and there's a massive load of new signings as well, which are all variables we can't really predict. So I'd love to be able to rub my crystal ball now and actually say, yeah, definitely we're going to be this. We're definitely relegation. We're going to be fighting relegation the whole time, or we're going to be looking at WSL 1 this time next season. But I don't know. So to hedge my bets, I'd say hopefully we'll be mid-table.
I think that would be a relatively successful season to be at mid-table, because you've got a lot of teams in there that are well-established teams like Birmingham, Bristol City, Charlton, Palace, Newcastle are in this league, Ipswich are, Portsmouth, Sheffield United, Southampton, Sunderland. It's you're playing. There's a lot of teams we played last season where people may not have recognised where they were from and what they were all about as a team. Whereas now you're playing established Football League clubs, women's teams, where it's going to be a much trickier test. Now, we'll talk about Newcastle at home, but first we're just going to talk about the new signings over the summer. Now, if you are new to the women's game, this is pretty normal for how this normally goes. You normally sign people on a one-year contract, and in the summer you let a lot of people go. So we let a lot of players go at the end of last season. We're not going to go into all of them because there's quite a few. A couple of notable ones that we were a bit surprised by. People like Sophie Domingo were a little bit surprised by. But the step up is as such that we need to make a lot of new signings and we need to bring new players in. So I'm going to read out a list of the players that we have signed. A lot of these have got WSL experience in the States or experience in the WSL 1, which is, fantastic for us. So we've signed Amy Rogers, Chloe Mustaki, Kirsty Smith, Georgina Broughton, Jessie Stapleton, Amy Claypool, Sophia Poor, Chantel Boyer-Halaka, Rachel Ray, and Deanne Rose. Now, out of those names, Matt, is the only one that you're particularly excited about seeing next season?
Yeah, I mean, going through them, tons of experience, years and years of experience at international level in WSL 1 and 2. One that Ray stuck out was one of the latest signings, what I imagine will be one of the last signings, obviously, of the close season, is Deanna Rose. She's Canadian, a Canadian forward. Absolutely fantastic. Some watching her goals on YouTube yesterday. She is a marksman, absolute instinctive markswoman. She's pacey. She's everything. She's wonderful. She's only 26. She's played for a country eight times. She's won 2 Olympic medals. I mean, that's pretty good going. And she will totally. It's a real sign of ambition at the club now. We've turned professional to bring in a player like that who will demand a lot from the rest of the team. But yeah, looking at the rest of the team, it's excellent all round. We've rarely gone shopping and rarely pulled in some good people. It's interesting. We've got a 19-year-old goalkeeper pulled in, Sophie Poor. She is extremely promising youngster. Played for England at under-17s, under 19s, I think it was as well. It's a really ambitious team. Yeah, I'll be looking forward to seeing. Obviously, it's hard to imagine what we're going to look like in Forest because I'm so used to the sort of setups that we had last season, the season before. As you say, Sophie Domingo, you sort of knew when she came on what would happen. And although we have retained a few players, it's going to be fascinating that first day of the season to see these new signings run out.
It really is, because you look at the men's side of things. When Forest sign a new player, and I'm sure that a lot of people will have looked at Dylan Backwards' highlights. Now it looks like he will be joining the club, and look to the highlights on YouTube, and you can find clips and clips and clips of all these games that he's played. Whereas the women's team is a lot harder to do that. If you want to find out a bit, it's really difficult to get that footage, and that's sort of where we hopefully come in a little bit. Now, the one I want to talk about that I'm probably the most excited for is probably Amy Claypool.
Yeah,
she signed for us from Chelsea, obviously the Super League champions.
Yeah,
Chelsea Academy project. You sort of had a couple of appearances for the main team, but not really breaking through. Now, the bit I'm most excited about is that she was on loan last season at Durham, who are in our league now. Scored 5 goals on loan with them and got nominated for the Championship Player of the Season. So that is a player that you've added that's got experience at this level, scored goals at this level, and someone that you can really add to the ranks of the players you've already got in. Now, I think that's what we did really well last season. We added players that had experience of the league above and players that you bring in and think they can grow with this team. Now, for you, Matt, do you think that adding somebody like Amy Claypool is sort of integral to success this season?
Yeah, we've absolutely got to be ambitious. It's not, as you said in the intro, it's not like a massive leap. It is from like the Championships to the Premier or anything in the men's game in that way. But it is still going to be a substantial step up. We need to have ambitious players. I think back a couple of seasons ago when we had Everton in the Cup, and we gave them a fair. We fairly held them pretty well up to half time. I think it was 1-1. And in the second half, you just saw the difference in quality, and our legs they went on to win 7-1, and you just saw any sort of idea that we were ready to ascend the heights. We've sort of dealt with a serious blow there, so we've got to get these players in. Although there's some lovely players that we've kept. Charlie Wellens is excellent, but yeah, we need people like Amy Claypool. We need people like Deanne Rose. Absolutely.
I think just adding that the there's clearly a recruitment profile. And I think that sometimes with the women's game, it can be quite scattergun. Whereas I feel like with Forest, it's very much a guided recruitment path. We sign players that have had experience in this league or the league above, and players that add to the squad. And I think it has bared fruit last season, and I think it definitely
for sure
this season as well. So we're going to talk about something that you just mentioned there, some contract extensions. Now, again, very common with the women's game. 1-year contracts are often signed, so you often see a lot of new contracts in the summer. So contract extensions were given to Emily Batty, our super goalkeeper, Georgie Ferguson, Molly Green, and Charlie Wellings. Absolutely all of them thoroughly deserve the new contract. Obviously, Charlie was a fantastic goal scorer last season. Molly Green, I thought, was so unbelievably composed for a central defender on the ball. Fantastic. Loved a worldie as well. And then Emily Batty, number one goalkeeper. So I'm pretty chuffed with all of them. I'm not sure about you.
Yeah, for sure. It's, it is hard to know that who will make that grade sort of thing, who is ready to step up. And it was, as you said, I was pretty shocked to see some of the players that we did not re-sign. But having that core, that is going to be essential. We need to have that core of who we are as a team, who we are as a squad. And having those in there, they know the team, they know how we play. They're going to be essential to bed in the new ones, the new players. Obviously, some of real experience, Lyndsey Harkin, who was the heart and soul of the team, who seemed to live and breathe Forest, is gone. But she's now, well, we'll probably talk about that later, but she's gone behind the scenes to work and stuff. I think she'll be a great motivator off the field. But yeah, it'll be good to see some familiar faces. It's sort of like, when Forest went up, Forest men went up, sorry. And we obviously signed a load of players, and you spent that summer trying to work out who was going to sit where, who was being kept, who wasn't kept. And like when you saw Yatesy go out, and you thought, familiar face, that's always nice, isn't it? And also, I think those players like Yatesy are the ones who sort of they sort of nucleate what it is to be to be Forest around them. He knows the affection of the fans. He knows how to get that on his side. And he brings the team together. I think we've got that in the players who fought so hard last season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that when you get promoted, you always do want to keep some of your nucleus. You do want to keep some of the players that got you there, because that is great for earlier in the season when you sort of gel in with the newer players. So It's nice to see a lot of those players stay on, and we've got a great season to look forward to. So we will talk about Lyndsey Harkin now, actually. So she has retired from football, and she's now become a club ambassador. I think from my perspective, it's fantastic to see her stay at the club. It's a club that she loves, being a Forest fan, being somebody that is ingrained in the Forest women's team. And she'll go down as probably one of the best Forest women's players to ever wear the shirt, which is an ultimate compliment from the club to say that we're going to keep you on as an ambassador as well. So, yeah, it's a great
yeah. Yeah, she played for Doncaster Bell, didn't she, for a few years? But she's had 20 years. She first came to start playing in 2005, I think it was, and she's gone through some. The differences, the changes that have gone through since back then are immense. And she's been there all the way. Well, she hasn't. She went to Doncaster Bells for a little bit, but she's been with us solidly for 10 years now. And yeah, when you watch her on the field, it's I don't know, she's like a solidity. She's a core of iron. You sort of know that you're safe with her on. And yeah, she was absolutely loving it last season. By the looks of it. Played pretty well. But she's 34, 35 now. So yeah, you sort of feel it's coming to, she's going to have to step back. But keeping her is going to be fantastic. I'm looking forward to, future manager I can see in her.
You definitely could. And like last season, she was still fantastic. It's not like she was. Yeah. She wasn't out.
Oh no, she wasn't just out. She wasn't just a mascot last season. She was out there. I think it's a real. I remember last season so many times. When she just watching her shouting, just really getting the team up and really cheering them up. Whenever and not that we needed that much because it was a bit of a walk in the park. But when we did have those, when it did seem we were backs against the wall, she was the one who was really shouting, really fighting. And, when we won the cup as well, her absolute joy, she loved it. although she probably knew that was one of the last games. She's a legend in the club.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see, obviously, women players in the Forest women's team getting over 300 appearances for the club. It's lovely to see, and she's been a fantastic asset to us. And personally, I hope that somebody like Molly Green will go and do the same thing. And I'm sure that's something she looks up to. And so it's a good move by the club to have her as an ambassador as well. I do love that.
You're listening to 1865, the Nottingham Forest podcast.
Eczema isn't always obvious, but it's real. And so is the relief from Ebglyss. After an initial dosing phase, about 4 in 10 people taking Ebglyss achieved itch relief and clear or almost clear skin at 16 weeks. And most of those people maintain skin that's still more clear at 1 year with monthly dosing.
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab, LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you're allergic to Ebglyss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebglyss. Before starting Ebglyss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection.
Searching for real relief? Ask your doctor about Ebglyss and visit ebglyss.lilly.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979.
It's the 1865 Women's Show with Adam and Matt.
Just before we talk about the Newcastle game for the preview, we just need to talk about the Subway Women's League Cup, which I think is a fantastic sponsor, personally. I love a bit.
Absolutely, yeah.
Love one of them. So we've got Newcastle at home, Everton away, Man City at home. I think I probably agree with, I probably see this from most people's perspective, that it's nice to play at, Everton away and Man City at home. Obviously, Man City have got some of the fantastic lionesses that brought it home this summer in their team.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure if they'll play in this, but it's certainly an opportunity to put yourself against one of the best teams in women's football.
Oh, for sure. I mean, again, you have that trepidation of feeling like we're unknown qualities, but yet we're going to be the underdogs by a long way on that one. But all the same, it's just seeing those big names going out and playing and stuff. No shade on any other players we've played against over the last few years and stuff. But yeah, getting out there and seeing household names is going to be pretty incredible. It's going to be tough. Still, watching the women's, watching Euros over summer and seeing the quality of some of those players, and then realising that they're going to be doing what they did then against us. That was there's a slight worry, but who knows? It's going to be good, even if we're straight out. What an experience! I mean, we played Newcastle. We not done so well against Everton in the past, but Newcastle will be interesting. They're fairly fresh faces, so I'm not betting. I'm not really hoping much, but we're too much of an unknown to really write us off. But yeah, against those teams, I'm not hugely confident.
No, but I suppose it's a good measuring stick game, isn't it? And to play these teams and sort of see where we're at. We'll get a lot of that in the league. Don't get me wrong, but from a personal perspective, for me, Lauren Hemp's my favourite England player. So to get her to come down and potentially be playing for City is pretty cool.
For sure, yeah. I mean, for sure, just getting those big names is such a crazy step up from. Again, not knocking what we were last season and all that, but you think about sort of cold Sundays in Long Eaton, and you sort of think where we are now. It does seem quite an incredible leap and stuff to suddenly get England internationals, Euro Cup winning internationals, sort of playing against a team that we watched back then. So yeah, it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. And it's going to be a really cool experience. I mean, next season will also feel that way, like with these WSL 2 games, they're just going to be huge games. Now, we're going to preview the Newcastle game now. So with the Newcastle game, we do actually have something to reference, because we did play Newcastle in the Cup, and it was it was a 1-0 loss, and we played relatively well against them. And that was last season's squad, and we've got new additions this season. So potentially you could look at this and think that it is a winnable game to start the season. And if you want to do anything in this league, this, the City ground has to be an absolute fortress, doesn't it?
Yeah, they are going to be tough. We've seen them. Well, we saw them a couple of seasons ago when they took the league by, I think it was 12 points. I think they won it by, and was so clearly superior. Even when we were a pretty decent team, and Burnley were a pretty decent team, they were totally out of there. But yeah, we've invested since then. We've professionalised since then. We've got this massive load of signings coming in. I think, I don't see any reason why we can't. They're not, they're a good team, and they do belong to be in WSL too, but they're not out of this world. They're not unchaseable by any means. It will be interesting. I am fingers crossed. Yeah, we'll at least scrape a victory over them.
Well, they're a team that we obviously fought for promotion with in the North, and when the last league game we played against them, we did beat them 2-1. So
I was trying to remember the score. Yeah, when we last.
So it's definitely a game where they only came up a season before us, and you've got to be circling these games thinking these are definitely games we can win. Now their squad is, I think their squad's relatively interesting because they brought in some very good signings, and one in particular that I want to highlight, they brought in Jordan Nobbs, who a lot of people will know as someone that played 70 times for England. So definitely brought in some really good experience to their team as well. So it's going to be a very competitive league this year, and I think looking at it, it's going to be hard to pick. Really going to be hard to pick who I think is going to win the league this year. Now it's the preview show. And what we did last year is we did say who we think is going to win the league. Now, it's a very, very tough one this year. And I will go first because I have just dropped this on you. I did not prepare this format. I dropped it on him to say, right, I need a prediction off you. So it's definitely come out of the way. So I am going to say, looking at the teams that are in this league, although it is very difficult, I really like Bristol City. And they're really, really good team at this level. And I like a lot of their squad. I like a lot of their players. So I think that I am going to put my neck on the line. And I am going to say Bristol City.
You're a brave man. I make it. I mean, if you're right, any Headliner around, I'll win the league because it just. I don't know. I'm gonna pick randomly, more or less, on this. Let's go Sunderland.
Okay.
I'm absolutely based on very, very little here, but I mean, it could just as well be Forest. So if those signings all pay off, if we actually lock together well, if we get a nice run, sort of get a few fans in, start making a bit of noise, But no, if I go and say that Forest to win the league and then we end up being kicked back down again, I won't be Nostradamus as I thought I was. So but I think you probably are going to be more right with Bristol City.
So it's actually really interesting. So for anyone listening to this that doesn't know too much about the WSL2, Bristol City and Sunderland finished on the same amount of points last season, 6th and 7th, both on 30 points. So we could, either of us could be right. I mean, you say probably the league favourites would be Birmingham. They were only 2 points off it last season. They were there right there all season with London City. There was a bit of a gap from Birmingham to Charlton, 4 points. You kind of feel like Birmingham would be the favourites going into the season, but WSL2 definitely does spring up some surprises and definitely gives you things you don't expect. For a reference point for Forest fans listening to this of how Newcastle did when they got promoted out of our league, they finished 5th in their first season on 34 points and 9 points off the top. So they did really well. I'd take that for us this season.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I mean, again, with the unknown sort of quality bringing in here, just to know that we're up there, we're secure. We are actually. This isn't a blip. We're up here for good. We're up here to be professional. We're going to be fighting to get into the top tier. Yeah, mid-table, I'll be pretty content with there. even if we got relegated, there's something about last few seasons when we have been playing lower league, and there was something quite nice, and sometimes you go there, it wasn't particularly busy, but there was a nice sort of amateurishness about it. Like you didn't, there's a lack of there's a lack of expectation sometimes in the last few years and stuff. Although they have actually performed brilliantly. But now it's, I want us to stay up there. I don't particularly want to have to go back into those days. Sort of standing on a cold terrace at Long Eaton is, I want to be playing Chelsea.
You're listening to 1865, the Nottingham Forest podcast.
Let's play Burlington's Guess That Price. Back to school means back to saving. We're bringing you kids' jeans starting at, hold on a minute, just $11.99. Burlington's acing this test. What about character backpacks? We've got them starting at $12.99. Burlington's done it again. How about sneakers for the kids? A-plus brands and right on trend starting at $11.99. Saving is now in session. Burlington, deals, brands, wow! Styles and selections vary by location.
It's the 1865 Women's Show with Adam and Matt.
I absolutely think that this team will be a WSL 1 team. I think it's a matter of when, not if. But I do think this season is going to be one step too far, the double promotion. It's a very hard league to get out. There's some very good teams in it. I would say you're kind of expecting Forest to maybe finish mid-table.
I'd be happy with that.
Now, first game of the season, we've got Newcastle on Sunday the 7th of September. Now, it is international break weekend as well. So if you've not, if you're thinking about something to do and you want to get down there, get down and watch the women's team. It's a fantastic experience. Tickets are really, really cheap. I renewed my season ticket this year, and it cost me a very reasonable amount of money. And I think one game tickets are pretty cheap as well. So get yourself down to this Newcastle game. Let's get as many fans there as possible. Let's pack out the City Ground as much as we possibly can.
Oh, absolutely. I think as well, I'll say this as someone who I take my son there, and I'm taking my daughter there this season as well. She's just turned 4, so she's sort of desperate to see a bit of live football. It's great for bringing them into the game. If you think that you're not too keen to take them to a actual men's match, you might it might be a little bit too loud for them, a bit too crazy, a bit too frantic, a bit too crowded. It's a wonderful way to actually get them in there. Now we're going to get some bigger crowds this season, hopefully, than we did last season and stuff. So we did pretty decent last season. A women's game is a great way to bring them in. Get them used to it. It's a much more family-orientated experience. In no way does it drop in passion. People, we're shouting, they're singing. It's full on. We give a full-throated Mull of Kintyre every kick-off and stuff. It's no different there, but it is a nice way to get people into football. And also, I'm very aware about the amount of people who want a season ticket or want tickets full stop to Forest men. Is not it well outstrips how much we've got allocated. So, if you want to just see a bit of live football, full stop, come and see it. It's going to be fascinating this season, and it's a great first step into football, if nothing else. I mean, to me, it's just, I sometimes prefer it when I go and see the men's. I think last season was so. We were so dominant last season. It was wonderful to see. I sort of had a little feeling what it must be like to be a Liverpool fan, but this season I'm not so sure. But I'd absolutely urge you to, if you are looking to get the kids out, get them to have a little taste of football. Don't really fancy doing it through cup matches. This is a wonderful day out. Sundays as well, great, isn't it? What else is there to do on Sunday?
Not an awful lot, to be honest. And I completely agree with everything you've said. Because when I was a kid, it was very much I went to League One games, and there was probably 12,000 fans there, and it was pretty easy to get a ticket, and they were trying to give them away. So nowadays, it's not easy for the next generation of Forest fans to get down to games. Obviously, with the Premier League being as it is to get tickets, the only access that the local, the younger generation is probably going to get is cup games if we don't draw someone exciting, if you like. So if you can definitely want an experience to get your kids into football, or they've expressed an interest, they'd like to go to a game, obviously you've got your local non-league and all that sort of stuff. But if you want to get down to a Forest game, the women's team is a excellent pathway for sure. And it's something that I shall be doing in a few years. Not just yet, obviously, but in a few years, it's something I will be doing. So I couldn't recommend it enough, honestly, as an experience.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so hopefully you'll listen to this and you'll go straight up to the Forest and go and buy a ticket for Sunday, and we'll see you down there. And hopefully these new signings are going to show us, do Newcastle over 10-0. But we can. But I'm not actually offering refunds if that doesn't happen.
Look, if we get a couple of people in the door from listening to this, then we've done our job, haven't we? That's
absolutely.
Right, we're going to leave it there. Matt, have you got any final words for the Nottingham Forest women's faithful?
Well, I'm just supremely excited. It's been a long wait. It's been there's not been any pre-season to really get your teeth into. I'm just extremely excited. Ask me again how excited I am January time, and it could be a different response. But for now, it's wonderful to be. It feels like we're part of a story now. It feels like for us to suddenly, not suddenly, but the last couple of years, really taking it seriously, had real ambition, really wants to do well. And I think it's wonderful to watch that in action and watch a club really start to establish itself.
Amazing. And I think all I would have to say as well to that is get down to the City Ground and watch this women's team this season. And let's hope for another successful season like last season. Well, if we'd unbeaten this season, I will. That'll be. I don't even know what I'd do, but it'd probably be. That'd be special. That'd be very special. I'd do anything anyone ever asked if we do that. So I'll paint myself red and jump in with Trent. That's. I wouldn't say that on a recorded podcast, but you've said that now, right? So it's official. I mean, I'm fairly sure I'm not going to have to carry it out, so I'm cool with that. But if it does, I'll do that. That's my promise to the listenership here. Fantastic. There you have it. Well, thank you very much for listening to the episode today. Obviously, listen to the 1865 Nottingham Forest podcast as much as possible for the men's team, for the women's team, for coverage on all things Forest, and we will see you next time.
You've been listening to 1865, the Nottingham Forest podcast. Follow us on X, Insta, TikTok, Threads and Blue Sky, and listen via Apple, Spotify and YouTube. All the links are available at 1865.football.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Popsicles, sprinklers, a cool breeze. Talk about refreshing. You know what else is refreshing this summer? A brand new phone with Verizon. Yep, get a new phone on any plan with Select Phone Trade-in and My Plan. And lock down a low price for 3 years on any plan with My Plan. This is a deal for everyone, whether you're a new or existing customer. Swing by Verizon today for our best phone deals. 3-year price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate only. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.